Going to press record here. Once again, welcome to everybody today to our talk on postgraduate programs in philosophy, history and medieval studies. And I'm going to hand over to Dr. Serena Doyle, who is going to give us an overview of postgraduate opportunities in philosophy. So Serena, I can drive away from you. You can just tell me when to keep on moving.
Sure. Thanks, Elaine, and welcome everyone. So I'm Director of Graduate Studies in Philosophy, and I'm going to talk to you today about the opportunities for postgraduate study in our discipline. I'll talk to you about our structured PhD and our MA in Philosophy, Values and Knowledge programme. Elaine, if you could move on to the next one, thanks. So just to start with the structured PhD, it's primarily a research degree, but it contains a taught element. So you would take the primary part of the program is the dissertation, which you write on a topic of your choosing under the supervision of a member of our staff. But you would also take 30 credits in taught modules. And these modules can be discipline specific and generic skills modules. And the aim is that the modules will equip you with the necessary competencies to conduct your research topic and to write your dissertation. Now, if you are interested in pursuing a PhD with us, I would advise you the first thing to do would be to contact a potential supervisor from amongst our members of staff to secure their in-principle agreement to supervise the project. So that initial contact would ascertain whether we're a good fit for you and whether you are a good fit for us. In terms of the proposal, it should describe the project. It should outline the central research questions that will guide the project. You should be able to discuss the methodology that you will employ and the contribution that the project will make to existing research in the area. If you have any questions at all about applying for the PhD program, please feel free to contact me directly, and my email is on the slide there. The next thing I'll talk about is our MA in Philosophy, Values and Knowledge program. We call it Values and Knowledge because we've organized the program thematically, but it is very much a philosophy MA. Now, the relation between values and knowledge is a central concern for any society, but at present it's widely assumed that the pursuit of knowledge is valuable only to the extent that it has measurable practical benefits as an outcome. Our MA program in Philosophy, Values and Knowledge offers a context for detailed consideration of this assumption. So we identify and question the issues involved in it at deeper levels of analysis than are available through ordinary discussion. And so the program adopts a broad philosophical perspective that engages with questions in other disciplines also. Now, the philosophy discipline here in Galway has particular strengths in post-Kantian European philosophy, political philosophy, public philosophy, and ethics. And all of these strengths are manifested in our MA in Philosophy, Values and Knowledge program. And so we aim to combine historical perspectives and contemporary critical debates to equip you with excellent analytic and argumentative skills that then are advantageous for further work in philosophy or indeed for competing in the job market. Now, a notable feature of our program is that our students are given the opportunity to organize a peer-reviewed international graduate conference. So our students every year engage in knowledge exchange with their international peers. And so each year we organize the conference. We invite a keynote speaker who is known internationally, and we also then have a range of graduate presentations, and each of those graduate presentations are peer reviewed. In our most recent conference, which took place online last year, had contributions from graduate students from Scotland, England, Belgium, the US, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and of course, Ireland. But that is a very distinctive aspect of our program. Now, I'll just talk you through the program structure. The program is available on a full-time basis and a part-time basis. If you want to register as a full-time student, you would complete the program over one academic year. And in practical terms, that would mean that you would take 6 taught modules and you would write a minor dissertation in that 1 year, so September to September. If part-time suits you better, whether financially or in terms of pace, then you could apply for the part-time program, which would mean that you would take the program over 2 years. And in practical terms, that means that in the first year, you would take 3 taught modules, and you would need to pass those then to progress into year 2. And then in year 2, you take 3 further taught modules plus the dissertation. Now, the range of modules on offer, which I'll introduce you to in a moment, may vary from year to year, and they vary according to staff availability mostly. Okay, now there are 3 core components to the program. The first is a taught module called Research Methods, and that module is designed to teach you the necessary methods to conduct your research for your dissertation. Then we have another seminar which kind of works in tandem or with research methods, which is Philosophy Seminar, Participation and Management. And in that module, we teach you to give effective presentations, and we also organize the International Graduate Conference that I just spoke about as part of that module. And those 2 modules then come together in the dissertation, in the sense that you practice the competencies that you've acquired in those 2 modules by conducting your research for the dissertation and writing the dissertation over the summer months. Now, what I have here on the slide is a range of modules that we tend to offer. They're not all available every year, but each of the modules represent our distinctive strengths in post-Kantian European philosophy, political philosophy, ethics, and public philosophy. I won't read them all out because that'll take a little bit of time, but you can see them there, and they reflect the distinctive strengths of the department. Here we have just a student testimonial from Megan Hind, a former graduate of the program. Megan came to us from Harvard in the US as a Mitchell Scholar. And she, in this quotation, she just explains why she was attracted to the program. She says that she wanted a program that was flexible enough to mold to her particular interests, while also being structured enough to provide thorough instruction on how to frame research and convey these ideas correctly and convincingly. And then she goes on to say that the program met her expectations, and that she particularly valued the student-centered approach in the department. And I must say we were very glad to have Megan with us. Now, in terms of employment prospects, the skills that you would develop during this course are highly transferable skills in the areas of critical thinking, self-directed learning, and written and oral communication. So graduates may find employment in areas such as education, research, public service, consultancy, administration, and cultural organizations. And of course, the MA program is also an excellent stepping stone towards a PhD, either in philosophy or in one of the other humanities subjects. Indeed, some of our graduates have gone on to pursue doctoral research, and we have had success in obtaining funding from the Irish Research Council, which is the most competitive and prestigious source of funding for research students in the humanities in Ireland. In terms of entry requirements, we would expect you to have at least a 2-2 overall in your primary degree, with a 2-1 in philosophy or a cognate subject. And then if you want to apply, you apply online to the link there on the slide. We accept applications throughout the year, but you are advised to apply early, because that would result in an early offer, and you'll find information on fees on the link there to Fees Office. The university also has scholarships, offers scholarships to the value of €1,500 for students applying for the full-time taught postgraduate program. EU students are eligible to apply for the scholarship if they have been accepted onto the full-time taught program and have a first-class honours in their primary degree. Now, the scholarship scheme is not open yet, but it will open in spring 2022 for applications for entry in September 2022. Now, if you have any questions at all, you may ask me in the session today, but if you would prefer a private consultation, we can set up a private Zoom chat and you can ask me questions there, or indeed, if you prefer, you can email me and we can communicate by email.
Thank you so much, Serena. Thank you very much for that overview. Really helpful. Yes, just to say to any of the participants, feel free to pop any questions into the chat. We either will address them after the individual program presentations, or we will address them at the end of all presentations. So I'm just going to check, and I think that my colleague, Dr. John Cunningham, has joined us. So John is the Program Director of the MA in History in our School of History and Philosophy. So John, I know you had some technical problems, so just checking that you're able to see the screen and that you're okay to present.
Yes, confirming.
Okay, wonderful. Well, with that, I will hand over to you, John, to give an overview of postgraduate programs in our discipline of history.
Yes, so I have this screen sharing capacity now. Yeah, have I? Yeah.
Well, I'm actually sure you can. I have the slides here available. I can drive them for you, or if you'd prefer to share them yourself, I can give you that opportunity.
Yeah. I think I'll leave it to you then.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, great. Okay. So, good afternoon. I'm John Cunningham. I'm here to introduce you to the postgraduate offerings in history, of which there are 3. There's a structured PhD. We've got a taught MA, which is offered full-time over 1 year, and we've got a taught MA, which is offered part-time over 2 years. Just to get into the detail of it, to get under the bonnet, as it were. So the full-time program consists of a number of modules. There are core modules, which are taken by everybody, full-time and part-time. We have optional modules when you'll be choosing 3, and there's a research dissertation typically carried out in the second half of the program. So all of these elements, the core modules, the optional modules, and the research dissertation carry equal weight. And for those of you who are not in Galway, there's a glimpse of it from 1838 from an artist known as William Evans, also Evans of Eton. But interestingly, the scene's pretty much the same if you wander down Buttermilk Lane today. You have a similar view. Anyway, I'll move on to talk about the PhD program. So we have a structured PhD, 4 years, and there are a number of elements to it, but the main one is the commitment to write a thesis of between 60 and 80,000 words. There's a taught element to this program as well, a number of interdisciplinary modules. And again, I suppose if you're interested in pursuing a PhD in history, the first thing you need to do is to try to make contact with the member of the staff of history whose academic area of interest is most appropriate to what you hope to do. So there's a link there to Kevin O'Sullivan, who will guide you towards the appropriate person, and indeed who will answer other questions as well. So that's our PhD program. Now, the MA, then our taught MA, of which I'm the program director, introduces people to various ways of looking at the past and interpreting the past. We look at historic problems, different periods, different places. So essentially, students are looking at how academic historians do their work, how they analyze the research, the results of their research, how they present it. And also, we look at different types of versions of the past created for different purposes. So the objective then is to equip the student to carry out their own research, to write it up and to make an original contribution to historiography. Now, so if you want to undertake the program on a part-time basis, this takes 2 years. And I suppose one feature of our part-time program is that we try to facilitate people who may have 9-to-5 jobs. So we offer a number of modules in the evenings from 6 to 8. There are obviously other options during the day as well. The part-time student isn't confined to the evening options, but those are available. So each of the years, in terms of the ECTS of the workload, is divided evenly. There are 3 optional modules and 1 core module taken in the first year, and just 1 core module in the second year, with the commitment also to the research and writing of the substantial dissertation. Okay. Just to give a peep into the core modules, there are 2, both of which are team taught by experts in various fields of history. We've got historical debates and controversies, which looks at specific historiographical controversies. And we've got sources and resources, which not only introduces students to a range of historical resources available online or in archives, but also with guidance on how to interpret these sources, in the first instance through an examination of the production of the sources, the purposes for which they were produced, and the limitations that there were. And I suppose an important element of what we do is to try to approach the histories of people who didn't leave written records, working people, slaves, and groups which were excluded from power, including women historically. Okay, I'm not going to get into any detail about our optional modules, and these vary in any case from 1 year to the next. But there's an indicative list here of 6 optional modules. Typically, there'll be 6 or 7 available on any given year, and they'll cover a wide range of topics and indeed of geographical areas. Now, the dissertation is the single most substantial piece of work that will be undertaken by students on the program. So this is your opportunity to be original and indeed to draw on the skills that you will have developed in the core and optional modules. So it's here that you'll be using primary sources to the greatest extent, but you'll also be relating your research to the existing research, using your developing your growing analytical skills, and also ways in which to present your research most effectively. Typically, the dissertation is submitted in August. So you begin in September, and if you're a full-time student, you're submitting your dissertation in during the following August. If you're part-time, at the end of year 2. For your dissertation, you'll be working closely with one member of the academic staff, occasionally 2, who will be your direct supervisor, who will guide you to sources, read drafts, and make suggestions based on their reading of your drafts. We normally expect applicants to have a 2-1 primary degree, or a degree with a 2-1 in history. We don't always insist on this, however, because we take other factors into account. Perhaps somebody has been researching and writing history out of an interest, so we would look at something like that, or any other sustained interest in history that can be established. We'll take that into consideration. So we accept applications throughout the year. The earlier you apply, the earlier you will get an offer. So after perhaps 3 weeks or a month, you will be made an offer or not, as the case may be. There are some scholarships which are available, and you can get the details if you follow the link there, likewise with the information on fees. So, as I indicated, the thesis and the other elements of the program develop skills in a range of areas: your writing skills, your analytical skills, your research skills, your communication skills, and in general, your historical awareness and your awareness of the relationship between what's going on in the world now and what happened in the past, and how they affect how the past affects the present. So there's a range of areas where graduates have found employment: in public administration, in heritage management, teaching, journalism, filmmaking, and a number most years proceed to PhD programs and have been successful in getting funding from the Irish Research Council. So if you want to know any more, I'll be happy to follow up. You have my email address here, so we can arrange a meeting, whether on Zoom or on whatever platform you'd prefer to use. If you're specifically interested in the PhD program, you should get in touch with Kevin O'Sullivan. And if you want to get some sort of an idea about the experience of graduates of the program, we have a short video which is linked there. So you might enjoy looking at that. So that's all I have to say.
Great. Thank you so much, John. And I was enjoying trying to look at the images of Galway that you had included, the historic images, and trying to get my bearings about where they were, which gave a nice, really nice visual aspect to the presentation. So thank you. Just to any of the participants again today, please feel free to pop any questions you might have on the programs being presented into the chat. We have one more short presentation. And we will address those at the end. I did see one coming in here, John, a couple actually. So just on the one question about the MA History website, that it says that there might be internship opportunities as part of the sources and resources module. Is that information still applicable? And is there are there opportunities or possibilities for internships on the MA?
There certainly are. We've been somewhat constrained in the last year or two, but we have managed to find some opportunities for students in our archives in the last 2 years. Obviously, COVID has put a halt to our gallop in some respects there, but we do facilitate students who want to do a small internship as part of the program. Yes.
Perfect. And I guess
and that's credited as well. That's a part, can be an integral part of one of the modules.
Okay, great. And you know, if the participant wants to reach out to John separately, if they have any particular questions on that, please feel free to. Just another question, John, just in terms of the structured PhD program, can students enter directly into the undergraduate students, I should say, enter directly into a structured PhD program?
It has happened. It's sometimes occasionally, yes. Generally, we recommend that people do the 1-year MA program, the taught MA program, because you will develop skills that you probably spend the first year of a PhD program trying to develop in any case. So there are the research, the analytical, the writing skills that are necessary for a PhD program, which are kind of well developed by successful MA students. So it's not no, but generally we recommend people go through the taught MA program. But the other advice with regard to PhDs applies, which would be to make contact with Kevin O'Sullivan or indeed with another member of the staff if you've identified somebody whose research interests reflect your own, in a sense.
Great, yeah. And I would say that to reach out to Kevin, Kevin's email is there on screen, just maybe with more of your own context and your interest in proceeding to a PhD as well, Aoife. So thank you so much for that. And again, feel free to pop any questions you might have in the chat. We'll address them after the next conversation, or after the next presentation, I should say. So, John, listen, thank you so much for giving that overview of postgraduate opportunities in history. I'm now going to pass on to my colleague, Dr. Catherine Emerson, who's going to give an overview of our I guess, reimagined program, the MA Medieval and Antiquity. So Catherine, I will hand over to you and happy to drive here away again.
Okay, thank you very much, Elaine. Before you disappear, can you actually hear me?
Yes.
You can, brilliant. And that's always a fear when you're presenting on Zoom, that you're talking away and nobody else can hear you. So it's a real privilege for me today to be able to talk about this MA in Medieval and Antiquity. As Elaine says, it's a reimagined program. It brings together two successful programs which happen in CAMPS, which is the Centre for Antique, Medieval and Pre-Modern Studies, which is an interdisciplinary group that brings together researchers mainly in the College of Arts from history, from English, from literatures, classics, archaeology, who have interest in that pre-modern period. So it brings together two programs that have been very successful in that area, but are small, the MA in Medieval Studies and the MA in Classics. And with two brand new program coordinators, both of whom are here today, so we can probably answer any questions you have about the program. Myself, I'm a lecturer in French and specialist in 15th century French literature and historiography, and Frances McCormack, who is a lecturer in English and a specialist in many things, but the relevant thing here today is Old English. And so this is a new MA, it's a reimagined MA. It builds core skills that you'll need for the discipline of either medieval or antique studies. It's interdisciplinary and cross-disciplinary. You get a narrow training in the skills that you need, but a broad training in skills that in related subjects. We have a community of scholars that you will interact with through a series of research seminars that you will give and you will also attend. And we interrogate the origins, the uses, the meanings of our disciplines in both historically and today. There is also a small dissertation project. I say small, it doesn't feel small when you're doing it, which allows you to pursue your own interests. And so it's a really excellent program with a strong foundation and the ability to take it in a lot of different directions. So yeah, it's flexible too, in the sense that you can do it for 1 year, or you can do it as a part-time for 2 years. If you do it for 1 year, there are 4 core year-long modules and then 2 to 4 optional modules. And that's because some modules are 5 credits and some modules are 10 credits. So depending on how many modules, the weighting of those modules, you might do 2, you might do 4. And then there's a dissertation. I said it doesn't feel like a small dissertation when you're doing it. It's 15,000 words. Now, the part-time MA is the same modules, but in year 1, you do just 3 of the core modules. And in year 2, you do the other core module and you do the optional modules and you do your dissertation. So you have that flexibility to decide which way you do it, and both ways you benefit from, as I say, the medievalists, the classical specialists, the old Irish specialists who were here. If you do it part-time, you get 2 years of it, which might suit some people, or you can do it as a full-time MA, and quite often that is then a springboard to further study or work, which I'll talk to you about at the end of this presentation. So the 4 core modules, as I said, there are 4 core modules, and I sort of feel like I should take it actually right to left here. And there's the options, and the options can be in archaeology, languages, literatures, history, and the languages can be Old English, Old Irish, Old French. We have others, and none of them come to mind at the moment, but there's also early, middle, that obviously Latin, sometimes there's Greek as well, depending on the interests of the population. Going back, everybody does Latin. Latin is core. If you have no Latin, you do beginner's Latin. If you have some Latin, you do intermediate Latin, and there's also advanced Latin. So you will be, and for those classes, you'll be joining the appropriate group of undergraduate or postgraduate students. So there'll be a community there which will go beyond the people from the MA. But as a foundational language for the classical and medieval period in Europe, all of our students do Latin, and all of our students come out with a conversance with Latin, even if you've never seen any before. Moving back along the way, oh no, sorry, go back. We have the research perspectives, which is the interdisciplinary seminars that we organise. You'll attend those, you'll contribute to those, you'll comment on those, you'll be building up a critical vocabulary for talking about research in your area, but also research out of your area. We will, in antiquities and medievalisms, we'll look at the origins of our disciplines, some of which are quite dubious, and the way in which medieval and classical tropes are used at different periods in history, including in our own period, looking at sort of Dungeons and Dragons style things and uses of medievalism by the alt-right and things like that to sort of show how there's a continuity and there's also some ruptures there, and how medievalism has played out. And then we'll do paleography, manuscript studies, reading handwriting. I say in the Latin West, that doesn't just mean in Latin, but it means all the paleography, all the handwriting that is written in the Latin alphabet from the 8th century to the 16th century. So a modest time period there, and even into the age of printing, and how what was written on the page then turned out to be what was printed on the page, and how the printed page influenced the written page and vice versa. So those are the core modules, and the optional modules, that's what you'll be studying. Your dissertation, as in history, is on a subject that interests you. You'll be working with somebody, a specialist in the area, who can supervise you for that dissertation. Now, Elaine, you can move on and show the pretty picture of the previous students. Here's some pretty pictures. These are all previous students and actually a previous staff member. Why would you come study with us? As you say, it will deepen your knowledge, stuff that you're interested in an undergraduate study. We'll show you more. We'll show you what the origin of it is. If you studied French and you want to see where the French language came from, or if you studied English and you want to see where the English language came from. I should have said there's some Norse. There's a possibility of doing some Norse sometimes, not all the time. You'll get that core foundational knowledge in things like handwriting, in Latin, all of which are transferable both to your study, but also more generally the fact that you can piece things together, make out like a puzzle. It gives you problem solving skills, it gives you time management skills. You're participating in a community of scholars at every level, so you will be interacting with other MA students, PhD students. We're a small community, we're a friendly community, and also with visiting speakers, and you have the possibility of developing your independent research project for that 15,000 word dissertation, which when you start it feels like a lot, and when you finish it you think there's so much more that you could do. So and I said it can lead you into further study. Of course it can. It can lead you into other careers, in research, in knowledge-based careers, for example, curation, presentational skills, communications and media. Administration leadership is really actually quite a significant avenue for our students, because our students are practiced in problem solving, in collaborative working, in community building, and all of that is skills that are really sought after in outside of the university. And of course, communications and media people go to publishing, they go to, as I say, library work. We have people who've gone on to who've gone on to work in archaeology and in archaeology education, communications, museum communications, that sort of stuff. So there are plenty of career routes outside of further study if you do the MA in Medieval Antiquities, though there is also the possibility of going on to further study within this university or in other universities. So yeah, thank you very much. That is the MA in Medieval and Antiquities. Both myself and Frances are here. So if you have any questions for us, stick them in the chat.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It was great to get an overview of that reimagined program and bringing, as you said, together two existing MAs in classics and medieval studies, and just fascinating to hear about all of the different options, the different optional languages that you can take as well in the program. Really interesting, and thank you to all of our speakers today in the School of History and Philosophy. So thank you to Dr. Serena Doyle and Dr. John Cunningham for their overviews, and Dr. Catherine Wilson in the School of Languages, Literatures and Cultures for the overview of the MA Medieval and Antiquities. So just checking again if there are any questions. Please do feel free to ask, or alternatively, very happy for any of our participants to follow up directly with our individual program directors. I might just ask our program directors just to pop their email addresses, if possible, into the chat, just in case anyone wants to copy and paste them for ease. Just while they're doing that, just to say to anyone on the line, our applications portal is open. You may have noticed that we have had some significant problems with our web presence and different systems in NUA Galway due to an unfortunate cyber attack. But our applications portal is absolutely open, and as the programme director has mentioned earlier, applications are reviewed on a rolling basis, and we do encourage, if you are interested in any of the programmes you heard about today, to apply. And also just to say that you can apply to 2 programmes as part of the application fee, which is €35. So you might be toying between 2 programmes. You can apply to 2 as part of that application fee. Just a question here: for an overseas applicant wishing to earn the MA, is it possible to attend part-time? So I guess this depends on your where you're coming from, because there are certain implications for international students about doing a part-time MA. For the most part, it isn't possible due to visa and immigration kind of legalities, as well as if you are wanting to come to do an MA and you want to work part-time, it's not possible. You have to be basically doing a full-time program as well to be able to work part-time. So for a variety of reasons, it is quite restrictive around the opportunities for international applicants to attend part-time. But if you actually want to, you can follow up with me directly. I'm going to put my email address into the chat as well if you want to follow up just around some more of the practicalities of applying part-time as an international applicant. I'd be happy to address that. Great. Okay, well, what I will do is just to say thank you again to everyone for participating today. Thank you to my colleagues, and we really look forward to hopefully hearing and seeing lots of you in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you, Elaine.